Look, here we are again. It's me, JP. It's time for another episode of John Park's Workshop. Thank you for coming on over to the workshop today. I appreciate having you here. We have a great show prepared, and by we, I mean me and Lars, I suppose. Look, he's right back there. I see him. I see you. What are you up to? I am broadcasting live to you here from Southern California in 1080p. I think in most or all places. That's the signal I'm sending out, and then I think YouTube is definitely getting that broadcast. I don't know about all the other places that restreams to. I think it should be in 1080p. Does it tell me? Let's see. I don't think it tells me, but that's what Restream sees. Yeah. Bitrate of 4768 kilobits per second, 30 frames a second. Tell me how it goes. I'm always curious to hear your feedback. Thanks for people, including Dave Odessa, who urged me to start up the 1080p again. It should at least, if nothing else, make it easier to see the code windows when I've got code up. All right. So, yes, speaking of HDJP, Toddbot, over in our Discord, we've got conversations happening as well as over in our YouTube chat, so thanks for jumping into those. If you're somewhere else and you're wondering where the chat is happening at, that's the place right there. Head to our Discord. You can get there by going to adafruit.it/Discord. Look for the live broadcast chat channel during the show. Go check out some of those other fine channels when the shows aren't running. And the reason I said yes, in fact, to HDJP is because, you know, when you're broadcasting in higher definitions, you have to put on your skin suit. And so that is our coupon code today. If you want to get 10% off in the store, or if you just want to reduce the effect of aging and pores, then pull on your skin suit. Type skin suit into the coupon code box when you are checking out over there on adafruit.com. It looks like this. Head to Adafruit, go buy some stuff, and then in the checkout window, you'll see a little field to type in a word. And today, I'd recommend that word right there, as upsetting as it is. Type in skin suit. Look, I even kind of color matched one of my arms there when I made that. I don't think it'll blend in perfectly, but yeah, right there under my sleeve. That was the color. Eyedroppered it right there. So there's plenty of great stuff to get over in the store using this super upsetting coupon code. If you head to adafruit.com, you can click on What's New over there in that sub-menu on the right, and that'll show you some new products, including, hey, that's a cool one coming out, the Audio BFF for Cutie Pies that just gloms onto the bottom side of a BFF, or rather under a Cutie Pie, I should say, or a Xiao board. This one gives you SD card and audio amp all on one, which seems pretty cool. I'm going to try that one out. Some Nice asks if we would accept Face Keeney. I don't think we will today, but maybe in the future. Thank you for that. Also, coming up, so this coupon code won't help you on that one today, but you might want to sign up. If you click on more info for the S3 version of the Matrix portal that's going to be coming up, you can click that and get an email when that one's ready. We've also got a couple of these, I believe these are pre-made backpacks with yellow or red. The yellow's still in stock. It's a nice looking large, about this big for that, that 7-segment 4-digit display. And on. So a bunch of great looking stuff here. Anything you want to get, go to products, head to categories, view all, look around in there, find some snazzy stuff. Maybe you want to get an album. I think these coupons are even good on. Wow, you can get the Frequency album for $2.99. Hey, that's worth it just to hang on your wall. It's a nice album right there from Bartle Beats. I didn't know it was that cheap. But I presume that our coupon code works on that. I haven't seen evidence to the contrary, so let me know. Either way, head on over to the store there, pick out some stuff, and type in Skin Suit on the way out. Again, I apologize, but it just had to be. You'll get 10% off. That's good on any of the stuff you can get. That won't work on gift certificates. That won't work on subscriptions. That won't work on software. If we have software licenses still, sometimes we do. But that's good for stuff. It's actual things. You can use that coupon code to get yourself a discount. Let's see what else is going on. Something over there in the chat. Someone said, Todd bot, thanks. Ty says, thanks for the blog post with the I2S board info. Yeah, there's a nice little I2S, stereo I2S amp out. And Todd's got a nice blog post up on his toddbot.com, I think, /blog site. Go check that out. What else? I've got a show that happens on Tuesdays. Speaking of products, that's my product pick show, JP's product pick of the week. When you check that out, you'll get an instant discount on up to 10 of that product pick of the week. There's no coupon code required in that case, so you can simply throw stuff in the cart and buy it during the show. You'll get the discount. The show is broadcast from inside of the product page. That right there was this week's product pick, and here's a little 1-minute edit from that, so check it out. It is the PAM 8302 Stemma audio amplifier. It's a mono 2.5 watt amplifier, and it is pretty plug and play. You can see here I've got a little speaker here plugged into the screw terminal, and then we have a little Stemma 3-pin plug that you can plug into your project and get the audio power and ground reference over to the board. So I'm just going to power this up over USB. Let's see, I can adjust the volume down and up.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It is the Max 8302 Stemma audio amp. It is the PAM. That was just going to loop forever. So let me know if you get one of those and find a cool way to build that into a project. I like to see what people are working on. By the way, where do you share stuff like that? Well, one way is to come on our Wednesday night show, which is called Show and Tell. It's at 7:30 Eastern Time, and you can just check the Discord or check our blog for a link to jump into StreamYard, where we broadcast. It's easy. All you need is a webcam and a microphone. And we can take a look at your projects, the stuff you're building. You can also jump over to our Discord, and there are various show and tell and project sharing. You can go to help with projects. If you're looking for help with something you're building, you can head down to, where's the show and tell? I swear it's here somewhere. Show and tell right there. Show off projects you're working on, and we'd love to see stuff there. So please jump on over to the Discord and participate. We love to see the stuff you're doing. Right. So the next thing I'd like to do is another in our continuing series of Circuit Playground Library based Circuit Python parsecs. So here it is.
Circuit Python.
Okay, get set up here. Ready to go. For the CircuitPython Parsec today, I wanted to talk about how to use tap detection inside of the Circuit Playground library in CircuitPython. And I happen to be on a Circuit Playground Bluefruit. The Circuit Playground library is a really high-level library that makes things easy to do on either the Circuit Playground Express or the Circuit Playground Bluefruit boards. Here I have the Bluefruit version, but this would work the same in either case. What this function in the library lets me do is detect tapping of the entire board because we have an accelerometer built on there, the LIS3DH, which happens to have tap detection. And built into it, it can tap either a single tap or double taps, which is really convenient because it allows you to avoid accidental taps. If you have this, let's say, sewn into a costume or built into a prop, and you want to start something without any real access to the board itself, you can tap onto the board, the object, the prop you've built it into. Here's an example of it working here. I've got a little red LED up in the corner here. You're going to see that turn on when I double tap. So I just double tapped the board, you see the LED went on, and now I'm going to turn it off again by double tapping. And that tap will work from pretty much any direction. We can tap on the front of it there, on the side of it, on the bottom of it, as long as it wiggles enough. Actually, I'm kind of holding that a little tight, so I didn't want to go. There we go. You can also see here I'm printing the double tapped when that happens, and we can change that tap to text to a single tap, and that would work just the same, but for single taps. The way this works in code is really straightforward. All I really need to do is import from Adafruit Circuit Playground, import CP, that brings in the whole Circuit Playground object. Then I'm gonna use cp.detectTaps equals 2. So it tells this that I'm looking for 2 taps within a pretty short band. You can get away with a few milliseconds in between, maybe 40, 50, up to 100. But it is kind of like double tapping or double clicking on a mouse. Then in my main loop here, I have while true if cp.tapped, meaning did this double tap get registered? Then I'm printing double tapped, and then I'm changing the red LED, again using the Circuit Playground library, so cp.redLED equals the opposite. So if it's off, it's on, if it's on, it's off. Then I'm waiting just a little bit there so we can avoid any sort of debouncing issues. And so that is how you can detect double taps on the Circuit Playground Express or Circuit Playground Bluefruit in CircuitPython using the Circuit Playground library. And that is your CircuitPython Parsec. That is definitely a lot of tapping. Not that kind of tapping. Thank you. All right. So let me know in the comments or later on if you have any special requests for things, but I am going to do a number of these using the Circuit Playground library inside of CircuitPython for a while because they are so helpful, and I kind of can't believe I never did them before. I thought I had, but somehow I missed them, and I think they're particularly great for beginners, for students, for people who have a project in mind and they need a sort of one-stop solution. Circuit Playground boards have a lot of different sensors, inputs, outputs built into them, so they're really great for a lot of fairly straightforward projects. This makes the code super easy. It's really straightforward code. So one thing I like about the code too is that it's kind of self-similar. So when we're talking to the red LED, we do cp.redLED. When we're talking about tap detection, it's cp detect tap detection. The sort of lower level way to do it, that's still pretty high level and pretty easy, but using the LIS3DH library, you would instantiate that object and then do the tap detection. So this just kind of raises it up a level of ease, which I really like. Okay, so let's see, next up, what's going on? I've got one sort of retro tech gear report I wanted to do. I have a update on the state of my Tyrell desktop synthesizer, which is just about done. I'm just working on the guide for it now, so I'd like to show you how that's working and the functions that I've built into it. Take a look at the final case. And then I am going to be introducing a new project. This is something that Lamore suggested based on a sort of a remake, a build of an existing thing called the Ambient machine. So I'm excited to show that off. Why don't we start off with the retro tech items? So I'll do that right here. So here we have I think I'll just go to these two windows here. So this is a new old stock piece of electronics componentry, a switch. Focus that for you. There we go. And this is a piece of aerospace, military aerospace gear. You can take a look here. This was a new package that I opened, so new old stock. It was sealed. I cut it open. And I got this at a surplus store. They had a whole bin of these. I got 2 of them, but if I decide to do a project that involves a bunch of them, I know where to get them. Could be hard to track them down beyond the one sort of random surplus store that you find something like this at. But this is a toggle switch, and this was made in roughly 1962. I believe this is the manufacturer, Wrap Industries, who I didn't really find any info about in a cursory search online. And also didn't find much using this exact part number. However, this one, 20905, does yield some results. Sometimes the numbering on government and military equipment is a general part number that can be used by different manufacturers. So that part number may refer to this type of toggle switch, but could come from different manufacturers depending on how the contracts are distributed. But there could be info in here. I'm not really sure. I think this has to do with how this packaging was closed here. And some of this info could be about the packaging too, I'm not sure. Anyway, inside we've got another little envelope here. No writing on that one, and this actually kind of was bursting out of itself here. This has just deteriorated over the last 60 years or so. We can open that up properly there. And here you get a really nice, beefy looking toggle switch. You can see here it is threaded. It did not come with any of the washers or nuts that you would need to bolt that to a panel. So that was probably just a separate item that was used with this. I didn't check if that looks beefier than average, but it could be a 1/4 inch. I don't have calipers here at easy access, or a nut to thread onto there, but big clicky switch. Again, more numbers stamped into the side here. This is the type that uses essentially these little phenolic plates here, either some sort of resin impregnated fiber or Bakelite or an old type of circuit board material. So there is no kind of metal or plastic box like we're used to seeing on more modern toggle switches. Let me grab an example here. Let's see. Am I fresh out of, where have all my toggle switches gone? Well, this is not the same type of switch, but similar idea is modern, more modern stuff. We tend to see these plastic boxes and metal wrapped around them. It's kind of an old PC switch, I think, or a pump switch or something like that. But this one has this little folded metal riveted there. You can see there, we could probably drill those out if we really wanted to open it up. And then it is what appears to be a 2-pole, single throw, 2-position type of switch here. We can grab some continuity testing just to see if we hear some beeps on here. So yeah, some nice SPST, SPDT, DPDT. So let's see, we've got 2 positions. We've got, I'm guessing, common here in the middle. So I don't know if you can hear that beep, but that's normally closed side there, normally open side there. I'm going to try to do this with one hand here. Okay, and then if we flip this over, yeah, so these are all just kind of a redundant set that I think may be separated. Yeah, so these are two positions with the single throw. So dual position, single throw, is that right? And let's see, are the common? Yeah, everything's separated, so it's essentially two switches that have the single throw to throw them there. No idea what these would have been used for. The surplus I got them from tends to be aerospace stuff, so that's the only guess I have there. But a really handsome looking switch. It does indicate on off. I don't know if you can see it on there. Right at the top there, there's stamped into it on. Down there is, does it say off? No, just on. So that's the on position. And there you go, big beefy switch from 1962, never been used, just took it out of the package. Dual position, dual throw, Dexter says. Is that right? DP, DT? I can never remember. But there you go, yeah, we have two separated circuits and two positions for that with a common. So that's my little retro tech item there. I am, when I show you today's Ambient machine project, considering picking up enough of these switches to do my project with them, because it involves toggle switches. Could be expensive. I think I may have spent $3 a switch, $2.50 a switch, so not terrible. Certainly a good price for the quality that is. I'm sure that adjusting for inflation, the U.S. military would pay about $80 for that switch or something like that today, just to guess. The military stuff is always expensive. But we'll see. So I'll show you. I'll leave that as a teaser because the project I'm going to be doing will involve a lot of switches. Double pole circuit, double throw, says C. Grover. This sounds like a good one for me to go check out on Wikipedia later. Hopefully there's good illustrations of it, because single pole, double throw, single pole, double, single, single. I get confused. DP, DT. Thank you everyone for setting me straight on that. I appreciate it. All right, so next up I said I would show you the state of our Tyrell desktop drone synthesizer. As this one here. It has grown a little bit bigger, about, I think I did 12% larger. The case I had it in was just so cramped. I was having a very hard time fitting things in there once wiring was in place, and it was a pain in the neck, and there's no reason for it to be small. I actually also kind of felt I wanted it bigger. I may even go bigger yet at some point, just because it's nice to have a large object. But there it is. So it's essentially two parts. There's a base here that you can see I've got popped in there, and the circuit board's mounted to it. And then this is a single print for the rest of it here. Relatively speaking, I made this hole in the top smaller. I felt the proportions looked a little off. You can see a little wire in there. Mostly we just see lighting through there, but you can poke the boot switch and the reset switch if you need to from there. You can see I've got my copper tape on there. Let me go to switch the view. So you can see I have these 8 different inputs that you can tap to change settings inside of the software. You can see to keep things neat, I used a little USB-C right angle to USB-A cable in there. It's really short. And then to actually plug this into power or to plug it into a computer to do any coding on it. I'm just using a USB-A extender. This seemed like a fairly nice, neat way to do it. You can see it's turning on there. See a little lighting in there, which is kind of cool. And then I also have permanently coming out of it a fairly long TRS 3.5 millimeter stereo audio jack, and that's plugged in there with a little right angle jack again to save on space. So what I'll do is, let me plug this into powered speaker over here. And I'm going to mic this up separately, so give me a moment here. I'm going to grab... Is this a good way to do this? Do I have a better way? I think... Yeah, I think I'll swipe this mic for a moment and bring it over there. We have another thing we'll listen to in a bit, but okay, let's see. Let's see how we can. This is, by the way, this guitar cabinet mic that C. Grover donated to me. Thank you again for this. This is made to be set up against a speaker to amplify the powered speaker, or rather to acquire that audio. Ooh, Toddbot has a nice suggestion of maybe putting a piece of translucent plastic or hot glue stick in the top of the hole there for a little light pipe type of action. All right, I think what I'm going to do is just hold this mic here. Tell me how that sounds. And if you can still hear me on top of that. The one effect that you're not really going to hear is the stereo panning. I may try to take my lavalier mic and point it at one speaker when I improve the panning frequency there, so you can hear that shifting around. Okay, so mix is good. Okay, great. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Jan. Appreciate that. Okay, so here's the controls we have on here. First of all, you can hear what it's doing is every 10 seconds or so, it's playing a new note. I can increase or decrease the rate that it's playing new notes. So I'm going to make it play notes much more rapidly. Okay, so that was of these two that you see here. When I tap the left one, I'm decreasing the time that it takes to generate a new note, a randomized note from a small list. Each time I tap this one here on the right, I'm adding to that. So that's probably 20 seconds now that it's going to take between new notes. Now, this is, Todd says, becoming an 80s chase soundtrack. So this has a few things going on. There are 5 slightly detuned notes playing in a couple of octaves. So one note is really this nice thick, almost chord-like sound. When it changes notes, all of those move together. There's also a filter sweeping through those, so you're hearing this timbre change, the sort of juiciness of it shifting. And what I did for that, as far as control, is I have this current rate, that shifting of the modulation of that filter is happening at, or I can make it happen very quickly. Okay, so this left one of this pair here gives us these much more rapid modulations of the filter sweep. To answer a question from Some Nice, is this all in Synth.io? It is, and this is actually all based on a well-documented piece of software that Todd wrote called Dystopian 80s Dystopian Synth, I think. And then I've just made a few small changes to interface with it. And we can put a link up in the Discord in a little bit. So if I want to go back to those more gradual filter sweeps, I just tap the right one. So left one is fast. Wow, 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 wow. And the right one slows that down. Now if I tap my note rate change a bunch of times, so now it's going to take a long, long time for it to pick a new note. I could have that be a minute or two before it decides to change a new note. If I want to actually adjust not only the note I'm playing, but also the root of the little set of 4 notes that I can pick from, I can use either of these. So that just offset the possible notes. Offset it again, I can go back. And even play those like a pair of notes. If I go back to having pretty fast note changes, there we go. So you'll hear there's only 4 notes that it's picking among right now, but they're randomized, so it doesn't sound super repetitious. But I can offset that whole set of 4 by a few different pre-selected intervals. So I have a little list of intervals that it will offset by, and then I loop through that list. And the last thing I've got over here is volume. So I can just tap to decrease or increase the volume by 0.1. I think the maximum volume is 1. I'm even by 0.05. I think I give myself like 20 steps of volume. Digital volume is always annoying, so I like to at least make it somewhat granular. And that'll stop when it gets to the maximum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, the last thing I want to show you, I'm going to make this a slow adjustment there. And let me see, I'm going to place my lav mic over on the right speaker and see if you can hear the stereo pan. Actually, I'm not hearing it very well right now, and I'm not sure why that is. Let me place my ears down here. Yeah, you know what? Let's go to software and see if that's actually doing what I think it should be doing. So let's check out. There's a LFO, another low frequency oscillator that's adjusting the stereo panning. Where'd you go? Filter mod. Here it is. Just looking for the sort of strength of the stereo pan, so I want to take that to the max. Rate is 1, scale is 0.75. All right, let me set this scale to 1. It's going to resave. Let me see if I hear it. Yeah, okay. So if you're listening in stereo, and if I'm broadcasting in stereo, which I actually haven't verified, I think I am, you should hear from my lav mic and now that should have moved left to the other one, which you can't hear too well. But I'll try to make a better demo, a specific demo for that shows that off. I think actually this left speaker sounds a little quiet too, which is interesting. All right, and turn that volume back down. So that'll end the audio demo of that. Let me turn this. Perfect Dark says this would go great with a planetarium. That's I love that. Yeah. So this is a really cool kind of cyberpunk sounding. We're saying dystopian Blade Runner style. There's a great looking GIF that Janiscu just placed up on the Discord there of a little Blade Runner 2049. It looks great. So Dexter says sinister in stereo. Could you hear the panning? I'm not convinced it came across to you there. But let's turn that the rest of the way off. And then in code, we've gone over some of this before. This is all based on Todd's Synth.io code for the 80s dystopian synth. So really my key changes to it are just adding this Touch.io stuff here, the bouncer. I've got these touch pins that my 8 copper tape and wire leads are running to on the Qt Py. And then I've added a note here. I wanted it to sometimes jump an octave, so it starts at C sharp. It can play Ds, it can play Bs, and then it can jump a C sharp an octave up from the low one. This is the default 10-second duration. I think that's in seconds, right? And then I have it playing 6 voices. I think that's why I was hearing it complain a little bit. That might be more than it wants, so I'll drop that back down to 5. We have the low-pass filter for that filter sweepy sound is going at lowest end to 300 hertz. And then there's also the resonance value, which is some of that sort of emphasis on the frequency right near the cutoff or the knee of that sweep. The other stuff I did was take, and I was going to try to put this into some functions, but it actually isn't too bad just doing these 8 checks on when I touch a touchpad. I'm just saying, is it number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7? Here's what you do. If it's the 0 and 1, I think that's the this pair here, that changes that note offset either up or down. If it's these two, that increases or decreases the note duration. And I also avoid ever going, actually I don't need the abs in here, but I want to avoid going negative with that or to 0. So I'm actually using 1 as, that's the lowest it'll ever get is to a 1. The LFO subdivisions, so that's part of this little formula down here of the LFO that's modulating that filter sweep. It is got some randomization in it, and then that has this sort of time base that it's divided by this subdivision value. And so that's where I'm just either saying it's 20 or it's 0.2. So I get these faster, potentially faster ones or these slower ones. And then here's my volume, again, either up or down 0.05. The stereo sweep is just constant. I'm not changing that, but I might tie that into the same filter modulation, the same LFO that's modulating the filter. I may use the same one or a similar one that's sometime multiple of that. And that is it. So inside, let's take a look at the guts here. But again, yeah, all done in CircuitPython using the Synth.io library. Really impressed that we can do this. Huge thanks to Jepler for all the work on that, as well as Mark Gambler and other people who've been part of making that work. And to Todd for creating these great examples and also being part of the process of helping develop this and define it. So you can see here I actually have 4 unused screw holes. I may use those, but actually this press fits on so nicely that I might ditch them because I don't need extra stuff. This does not want to come very far out. I'm going to raise my camera up a bit. This does not want to come very far out just because of the tight wiring in there, but you can see I just have these little tubes that I printed into the model so that this wiring can run out and behind. You can see some of them there. So the little wiring, it's stripped on the ends and then taped underneath this copper tape, which has conductive adhesive, so that works pretty well. And then you can see I've got my TRRS output board there running through 2 RC filters, and the Cutie Pie is sitting right there doing its Cutie Pie thing. You know, I'm going to boost the exposure on this a little bit. Whoops, that's white balance. You can see there, again, I'm using these nice 90-degree cables so that everything will fit there. And just tuck that there, press that into place, and instant Blade Runner desktop sculpture synthesizer. So I'll get out of there for a second. I'll be working on that Learn Guide. That should be out soon. I've got the code committed, so you can go look for that. It's just called Tyrell Desktop Synth, or Tyrell Desk Synth, in our Learn Guide GitHub repo. And I'll also be putting the model up on various places, so you can download that if you want to print that, make yourself a synth, or even just print yourself a cool-looking Blade Runner building. That's an option as well. If you want to do that, you could probably simplify life by getting rid of the support entirely. The only support I'm using is just to make that little lip work well, so I can peel that off and plug my bass up into there, using some blockers on the software. So that'll do it. Yeah, that's the Tyrell Desktop Synth. So last up, last thing I want to talk about today, actually let me go over here. I'm going to do another mic change to reattach this here so you can hear some demos. Where did I... There it is. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I had this whole elaborate setup over here for this mic and then took it all apart. Good, okay, that's better. So what I want to do is I'm going to jump over here and I want to show you a couple of ambient music machines, sort of appliances for meditative ambient music. So let's jump over to the bench there, and I'm going to turn this mic on. Again, let me know if there are any issues with the mix once I'm playing some audio. And I'm going to open up the Discord so I can see. Okay. So the first one I'll show you here this is called the Buddha 1. This was from FM3. They are a music duo partnership who created back in the early 2000s, I think it was, this original Buddha machine. And I have one of those. It's got some issues, so I decided not to use that one. But this was one of their later releases. And these are essentially sample players, little digital sample players that have a built-in amplifier and speaker, a little bit of an interface, takes a couple of batteries, also has an output. So I'm going to plug this output and I'm going to turn it on. And that output is going to run to a little amplifier that I have here. Unfortunately, I have a mono cable here in a stereo jack, and it shorts and turns off if I push that all the way in, so I got to hold it. So this will loop. This is a looping sample that's maybe 20, 30 seconds long, and it'll just constantly loop. If you want a different sound to meditate to or to work to or to drown out noise distractions, that's what it's for. You can pick from the different 8 or 10 loops that it has built into it. This one's nice, actually. I've listened to that one hours on end sometimes. Some of them have very short loops, like this one. Now the idea behind these was inspired by, I believe, Japanese water pipes that are sort of organic noise machines, sound machines, as well as instruments that were used for meditation. There's these really inexpensive Buddha boxes. This is one that Adafruit sells that are very difficult to get out of their box without ruining the box. There we go. Come on. Here we go. These, again, take a couple of AA batteries. You can see this design is very similar. Just a box with a speaker. Some people like to circuit bend these, particularly to try to slow down the sample playback or do other interesting things with them. This one has a little dial on there, and again, put that through an amp. This one, unfortunately, does not have multiple samples on it. It's just a single sample that it'll play back. I have found one website that documents some of the circuit bending of this to do interesting things with it. I'll turn that one off. So those are a couple of examples of these sort of sample player style ambient machines that have a fixed single sample that they play for you. The thing is, sometimes, and particularly if you just use apps on your phone, you want to mix various sounds and kind of craft the right ambient music and sounds for your mood. So that's where this ambient machine comes in. So let's take a look at. This was actually something that I think Anne blogged about on the Adafruit blog, and Lamore asked me if I'd look into building something like it. So here, let me jump over to Chrome for a moment. This is this gorgeous machine called the Ambient machine, designed by Yuri Suzuki, who is a designer, incredible creative designer in sound and other spaces. And the story here was during the pandemic, we found ourselves spending more time living in a single environment than ever before. It provided an opportunity to listen more closely to the ambient sounds around us. It inspired the creation of this gorgeous device here that has 32 toggle switches on it. The rightmost row are things like play, stop, volume, and I think one other function. The rest are either on or off of samples, and so they're actually broken up into different. Let me find the page I want. Into different types, so that row one column, that column one, has different piano melodies that also have effects added to them, and they kind of evolve I'm guessing long samples. You can look this up and listen to some samples. I won't play them here. Second column is synthesizer, long tones on synthesizer with long reverb. Third is field recordings of crickets, but those have also been put through granular effects processing to make them a little more relaxing, which is good. Vocal on the next column, bells on the next, ocean sounds, and then bird song, followed by gong. I don't know how they got 8 out of that, because there's also the play stop reverb on and off, but I'm sure it's there somehow. So my idea was to create, based on Lamore's request, a version of this that uses something like our Metro M7 and an SD card, SPI SD card, so that we can stream potentially fast enough up to 24 or 32, however many it is, of these samples. You probably wouldn't want them all on, but we've got things like audio mixer to do sort of a unity gain, so that if we have 2 sounds, it doesn't get crazy loud. We'll be able to adjust the overall output depending on how many of these we're layering onto each other. So it seems like the time is right to do something like this using CircuitPython and audio mixer and audio wave playback. I was, when I was thinking about building this, I thought, okay, what have I done before? What have other people done that I can build upon? And I remembered that at one point, I think just for a product pick of the week, I built this gizmo here. So actually, let me jump back over behind the desktop there and ignore the OLED screen, because the refresh rate is having a battle with the refresh of my camera there. So let's see. I think, again, I can probably mic this. I'm going to mic this directly, actually. Sorry for the terrible sounds here for a moment. Place that there. And I think I'll just hold the mic. Okay, so this is sample playback in CircuitPython, wave files, up to 8 of them, right? Yeah, 8 that I've got here. And the design that I had with this was more of a drone synth, so just a single tone or chord or some detuned unison notes in different waveforms. So I have a little selector here that's saying drone 1, 2, 3, 0, and so on. So I'll go to the second one, which I think is like a sawtooth waveform. And then if I flip on the fourth one is actually sine waves that are just detuned, which I think I prefer. So you get some of the phase cancellation beating. Okay, so that's the demo that I had built with that. Oh, why is something still on? That's funny. That should shut it off. So this at least is a start for me going, okay, I've used this was one of the Matrix, what's the name on that? HCP 23017, which is a I/O expander. It gives me a bunch of reading of a bunch of switches without a matrix. Actually, those are direct. Is that right? Yeah, I think those are direct. So either a matrix or an expander like that to get a whole bunch of switches. And you can see the design of the original Yu Suzuki is a gorgeous walnut piece with, I think the original maybe there, it was black, but these beautiful yellow, well, there's Yuri right there, really beautiful. Actually, we can go through and play a little of that. I think one of these is louder than the other. Let me play this one. So you get some really beautiful background sounds there with the ability to mix and match with physical switches, which is really great. And yes, you can do this with a 99-cent iPhone app, and I do, but I think this will be a little more interesting, a little more fun as a beautiful object. Also, this one was created with essentially like a speaker design, so it's got a speaker built in, or it's almost like it's built around the speaker, which is interesting. So this does not, you're not using this with an external amplifier or powered speaker. This is the whole object itself. I think it just runs off a DC power plug when you're using it. So that's the idea there with an ambient machine, not the ambient machine. That was created in a limited set of 20 that went for a lot of money each. So I don't think anyone is going to be running out and getting one today, probably, maybe. But my idea is to build something similar. And I'll also be thinking about enclosure, something that looks nice but is also approachable, maybe using wood veneer. Could be laser cut acrylic and wood veneer or something like that, or just in a wooden enclosure, maybe a pre-bought enclosure, so we're not having to do any fine cabinetry, carpentry here. So that is going to be the ambient machine. And I think that's going to do it. So thanks everyone for stopping by. Perfect Dark, thank you so much for the compliments. Perfect Dark very much liked the, there's a lot of synths here today. Every day almost, but yeah, the Tyrell synth is simple. This one is a little sort of related type of idea of a droning synthesizer, maybe a little less ominous, a little more relaxing. Oh, some nice says you could use these aerospace switches, keep it Army themed, or maybe some sort of retro aerospace theme would be cool, because big, chunkin', satisfying buttons. Thank you, Hesitant Red, for thanking me. You're very welcome. I think that is going to do it. So I encourage you to check out the store and use our coupon code SkinSuit. Again, I apologize for the awful name, but it works today. I swear it. It'll give you 10% off. Go to the store. Go to theadafruit.com. Throw some stuff in your cart, and on the way out, if you dare, and remember to type in SkinSuit in the little coupon code box, you get 10% off your entire order today. Also, don't forget we have freebies available if you purchase at different cutoff rates. You can go to adafruit.com/free and find out more, but $99. Get a Perma Proto board, $149, KB2040, $199 free ground shipping in the continental US, $299 more Circuit Playground Express, and these all stack. So you can You can go check those out at adafruit.com/free. That's your coupon code for today. Go check out Deep Dive with Foamy Guy tomorrow and maybe a show on his channel on Saturday. We'll be back with Product Pick of the Week on Tuesday. We will have a 3D Hangout Wednesday morning. Show and tell. Come bring your stuff. Show it to us on Wednesday evening, and then Ask an Engineer later, as well as Desk of Lady Ada at random hacker times, possibly on Sunday, but you never know. All right. Thanks, everyone, for stopping by. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park, and this has been John Park's Workshop. Bye-bye.